Professor George Magoha died yesterday. And, people have just been sending their messages of condolence and looking back into the man himself and what he did for the education sector. Being in charge of the education sector at various critical points in the recent past. Number one is the exam scandal. He was the chairman of the Kenya National Examinations Council at the point when there was a whole hue and cry countrywide. Students cheating in exam. Is there exam cheating? Is there leakage? Is the Kenya National Exam Council actually foolproof that when they set the exam and they deliver the exam, they are not going behind themselves to leak their own exam to the students? And he was the chair of NEC at the point. He came in and they restructured NEC and they said, put in measures.
Plug all the holes.
Yeah. And we saw the following years, there was a change.
Reduction.
Man then was taken to the education ministry as minister. And he came in at the point where now, all right, so there's been some start-stop limping here and there of the rollout of the CBC. And he was like, okay, so this one, let's go. CBC rolled out and he managed the rollout of CBC. COVID came. He was the man in charge. Millions of children gone home. People started asking, so when are schools resuming? And he would keep saying,
I will not be responsible for anybody's
I
death.
cannot say when schools are resuming because I'm not the one who said schools should close. The decision on closing schools was informed by COVID, which is a health emergency. And so the health ministry will tell us when we are safe enough to take the children back to school. And he was adamant on that. And remember, we kept having conversations. Yeah, this man is not clear. The Ministry of Education. And then they came up with that whole calendar of saying, this is a recovery calendar of the school terms. Through those 2 years, now we are back to the proper calendar.
Indeed, started yesterday.
He managed that. So, did he perform well? Did he not?
Well, I mean, this is the question, and you have to ask yourself, against what are you measuring this performance?
Against expectation.
Exactly. If it's against expectations, you will have your split in terms of what he did or didn't do right or wrong. The manner in which he, led education sector. Many will tell you that under his leadership, there are many things that then came out clearly. The cheating that you've spoken about, that seemed to have been nipped in the bud, and it was made very clear how folks were going to be dealt with. Did he circumvent a potential disaster, a health disaster, by saying, look, I will not be responsible for any child getting sick or dying by sending them back to school in the throes of a pandemic? Did he circumvent a potential disaster and shut his ears to every noise that everybody was making? Come back to school, don't come back to school. Many would say yes, absolutely. He could have said, okay, it's not so bad in Kenya, where today acting director is telling us that, Kenya has reached herd immunity. Could he have said, okay, let everybody just go back to school. If we get this thing, we get this thing. Did he circumvent a potential disaster by saying children stay at home? And have we not just gotten back to it where exams, did they not take place? Did people not pass or not pass and then go on to the next? They did. And are we not back now? Children have gone back to school. And the hiccups have almost been forgotten. N'est-ce pas?
The question that comes to mind, though, is every time we look at the education sector and all the problems that bedevil that particular sector, a new CS comes into the ministry. And the question that comes to mind is, what difficulties, what obstacles do these individuals encounter? Sustained bureaucratic cultures that have been there for the longest possible time.
Yeah.
And these are the direct counters to the efforts that are being made. Remember, it's also during his watch that we had precious talent. And the problems that arose there came about. And there were all these efforts to try and ensure that the ministry, through the supervisory efforts, ensure that all schools are safe environments for students. And yet, the stories persisted and continued. So one has to ask, there's someone who clearly seems determined to bring about change, and yet you don't see the change coming in as quickly as you may like. So the question of what are these obstacles that one faces when actually one seems to have started off on a trajectory of actually wanting to bring about change. There's something that Professor Magoha also did during his tenure as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
It's a very interesting thing. The University of Nairobi was often characterized by just students going on strike and kicking a huge and massive ruckus.
Yeah.
Now, in the time he was there, I think it was a 10-year period. That died. One hardly. These demonstrations, rioting, doing whatever with the students somehow ceased to be.
Yeah.
It's like the students' organization, the way that their business was run, was restructured. Now, what am I getting at? I'm getting at the mindset of a person who was clearly a lateral thinker. So someone who just didn't think in the way, okay, there's a problem, this is the way you solve it. No. Let's look for other ways of resolving this particular issue. But then, when it comes to the Ministry of Education, I have to admit, there seems to be a monster at large there. Because if somebody has the mindset to bring about change, and you've seen in the way they do things, and then they're given a docket, and you hear the huffing and puffing is in the right direction, you look for the change, it occurs, but it's in dribbles, and you're wondering, so what is holding this thing up? What else does somebody has to contend with when they're actually trying to implement or trying to make sure that these things work? Because the one thing that the CS for Education, the late Professor George Magoha did, he didn't wait to be told. He went around the country. We saw it over and over and over and over.
He was physically present all out there.
Yes.
All over.
Yes, he was. So, again, the larger question with people who are actually change agents and then decisively so, what entrenched cultures do they encounter when they are given a docket that requires a certain degree of attention and they have a very clear idea of what needs to be done, and then you find it doesn't get done? It's a question I would ask of now the CSs and the new PSs whom we actually have. What are they going to encounter?
Can they change anything much?
Yes.
Valid
question.
And I think maybe it goes into how much power do they actually wield?
Yes.
Because you may come in there, yes, you're the CS, yes, but I'm a civil servant. You can't just get up and fire me,
Yeah, I mean,
umenipata hapa
ukienda
utaniacha tu hapa, tumeona wengi. And this is how we've been doing things. Or people come and tell you yes sir, and they'll tell you yes sir for the next 6 months, attending meetings every week.
Yes sir.
Oh yes sir.
Report coming sir.
Coming sir. Yes sir. In fact, what now we have is now we are waiting for now the other report now to come from our county officers, and we are consolidating that. But what we are seeing so far is so in the next 3 weeks, sir, it'll be ready.
Yes sir.
Next 3 weeks coming. Yeah, it is ready. Only that now we are doing validation because some of the information that was coming, we realized that some of our officers were sending information in the wrong format. So some were putting on PDF, the others were putting on JPEG.
As opposed to a Word document.
As opposed to a Word document. So now we are working on that just to harmonize it. Then we can now present it in a comprehensive manner. Another 3 weeks. Yes, sir.
Before you know, it's June.
Kusha.
And with June, some other issues will come about.
Yes.
And work was expected to have been completed.
Yes.
By that time.
Yes. The report should have been there 6 months prior. And that report is still not there.
Hey? We are still waiting for a comprehensive report of the schools around the country who perhaps might be in a dilapidated situation.
We know
October 31st,
they were shut down and that was it.
Hey!
Schools were shut down.
October 31st, 2019.
As to whether they remained shut, that's a different story also.
Whether they reopened and continued business.
Yeah, it's a whole different story. How many classrooms were actually constructed? All those things.
And then look at all the plans the government put in place. First of all, there's that universal furniture problem. Remember it?
Yep. Part of the COVID stimulus.
Yes.
To the fundis.
Yes.
To construct desks.
Local fundis.
Yeah. Construct desks so that those desks can be distributed in schools.
Yes.
And the other one.
And then we know how that went, didn't we? Hence the question. What is it that one faces when you have a plan that sounds good, is intended to be good, it's being presented, and somehow the results are never really that good?
What leads to this?
What actually happens?
Yeah.
What are these cultures that these leaders encounter when they are taken to these various ministries or departments? Because you talk to them and you say, no, this guy clearly knows what they want to do. Clearly. And you even see steps.
So do you think, going just riding with that, do you think this new directive by the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Trade on headmasters and school uniforms is going to be adhered to? Because the whole directive here is the school principal tells you the uniform. You go and get the uniform, you send your child to school with that uniform. They cannot tell you, oh, you must buy uniform from shop X. They can suggest where you can buy the school uniform.
Unless, of course, the way they're suggesting is the only one that exists.
If you go to that uniform where they've suggested and they said, like, this is it, they can give you the logo. You go and embroider yourself. But they don't say that you must get your school uniform from shop X. Do you think this is going to work?
No.
This
Why?
one.
Why?
They can say, yes, we hear you. Are you not the one who just gave us the example of the fella who says, oh, we've not finished, but give us some 3 weeks? They'll tell you, yes, they'll do it. But then now, go to the ground and see and hear the people where they'll tell you suddenly, we said that you can buy from any shop. But those shops where we said you can buy from, the thing is not available. It is only available from this one person.
So what
are you going to do?
But so it's the onus is on the other release. Because you see, the Minister for Trade, he is looking at the trader. Okay? So it's then the traders to know, I serve this particular catchment area, there are X number of schools, and these are the school uniforms for these schools. If you're a shop and you're not stocking the uniform, then you're basically giving a leg up to the only one.
Exactly. But
so the onus then is on every other. It's open business. So let the others also.
As with other directives that we have seen where there has been a blanket statement, okay, we will not allow this to continue. Are they not the same ones where the same directive came out when we also looked at when schools were opening and they said, do not send away children if they have not completed their school fees.
How did that work?
Did you hear that every child remained in school? Did you hear? No. People were still sent home.
Yes.
For the first few days, they can say, okay, let's have a conversation. And that directive, in terms of its heat, will die down. Moving along, Omo, if you've not paid school fees, you will not come to school.
But the one which actually stands
Meanwhile, there
out,
was a directive from the ministry.
remember once upon a time when head teachers were directed by the government, the ministry, you cannot increase fees.
Or you cannot be charging this supplementary thing that they say, come and bring extra money for whatever it was.
This is the fee guideline.
Yes. How did that work?
Really?
This is the minimum fee that you can pay, and this is this and this.
Maximum.
This is the other. And how did that work?
And then they also said, there are many examples. They also said that parents should not be charged a supplementary fee that will contribute to the building of a dorm or that will contribute to the purchasing of
Development
a school bus.
fee.
Development fee. Did they not say that such things should stop?
Yes.
Okay, do a spot check just in Nairobi. Don't even go to Machakos. Don't go to Kajiado. Nairobi.
Public schools.
Yes. And see if there are students who do not receive that slip, and under the item is development fee, 6,300.
Dormitory, school bus, library.
So now you want to come and say that because the CS has spoken and said, do not sell uniforms at school and make sure the uniforms are available everywhere. They will say, yes, sir, thank you, please. Next week.
But then it also comes to the other thing that you raised, CT, as a former chair of a BOM, and thank you for your service, sir.
You're very welcome, sir.
The thing is, the logic of it and the reality of it. If, as a school, you're looking for uniformity of the uniform, so you've come up, this is the actual color Pantone for the uniform. This is the blue, and this is the gray, and this is the white, or the maroon. You want that uniformity.
Yes.
It's best if you actually dealt with a supplier and told them,
Yes.
this is what we are dealing with.
Yes.
So you supplier, go source material, but make sure that you stock this.
This is what
Then
we
we will advise our parents to come and buy from you. That is the logic.
It is.
And that is what has led to schools saying, go and buy a uniform from such and such a shop. Because we know such and such a shop is actually stocking what we require.
Yes.
I don't
Now-
have a problem with the initial intention. But you know what has happened? Through this process, it has been bastardized. That people then see a loophole and they say, So, it is possible for this school to say that this is what they want, 1, 2, 3, and they say, okay, this is the uniform, because that's what it is.
Yes.
Uniformity. And that they actually see how they can make it cheaper. But you know what has happened over time? That the head teacher, in collusion with the
Trader.
will now say, you know what, Eric, I can do this thing for you. So you just make me the sole provider of this thing. So what do you have? You have carte blanche when it comes to how much you can charge. You have carte blanche when it comes to how many you will then provide. There are people who say, come on Tuesday, it's not ready. Come on. Whereas if you went to the outfitters,
Yes.
you get them in plenty at the price. But why should you get it at plenty at a lower price when you can get it all from myself at a higher price?
You don't do. Now,
How about this?
Go
Two
ahead.
things then. Okay, let's just see. Victor Buri has told us, let's think out of the box. Two things. One, how about do away with school uniforms altogether?
Then you people
Or number two, standardize all school uniforms. Everybody who is in junior secondary school, this is the uniform.
Everybody wears
Countrywide.
green.
everybody wears the colors of the Kenyan flag.
Same way, all
Decide,
school
all
buses
schools,
are yellow.
So
Actually,
every
all
school
school
has the
uniform.
same uniform.
I was going to take it further.
Thank you very much.
All prison uniforms.
All prison uniforms are the same.
But you
All
see,
police.
the problem with no school uniform is the problem that you have at universities that were opening the other day, and there were people stopping them at the gate saying, you have pierced your nose, go home. Your skirt is too short, go home.
Where is the problem?
I'm just telling you that people will rock up every Tom, Dick, and Harry will rock up wearing what they like.
No.
in school.
Listen. So there'll be standards.
When you say wear what you want,
There'll
then
be
it's
standards.
uniform now.
There'll be the length of the skirt or
Uniform
the
by
dress,
definition is
or
standard.
blah 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 blah. You will say there'll be standards. You'll be saying so you can come with whatever you want. Just the same way there is no uniform for hair, but there are standards for hair, right? Your hair must be this length. If you're a girl, this is how your hair should look like, and
If you're going to plait your hair, this is what you
this
must
is how
do.
what you must do. But now you're not told that you must go to Mama so and so to plait your hair.
Do it. I like how you guys are saying plat.
So not plate.
It's plate, yes, but it's plait one eye.
No, I
Plait
like
the
it.
hair.
It's very nice.
Do.
Yes.
You know. Let me now
So
speak as
those two
yes.
things,
Yes.
either remove school uniforms altogether,
All of Kenya
or standardize.
wears one uniform.
Yes.
Omo.
So you can buy
So you
uniform
know,
wherever.
when you see that uniform, that's a student.
If you look at this, you know this one is a student, this is primary school, this is
Right.
junior secondary school, and this is senior secondary
Just like now,
school.
when you see a yellow bus, it can only be attributed to a school.
School.
It's not about tattoo. It's a
school.
school bus.
So
You
know
may be
that-
onto something, man.
Yes, throughout the country, you know, all secondary school students yellow,
Okay, let's.
middle school purple,
The bus is already yellow, so you confuse us a little bit.
okay, pink.
So you even stay with the colors of the national flag. You know that all primary school are in green.
Yes.
All secondary school are in red. So green and black, red and black. So we know what we're talking about. Instead of all this business.
This pink thing isn't working.
No, we don't like that.
Pink is not good.
It's good, but in other situations, not school, not school uniform.
You know, the problem here isn't the head teachers. Not really. Head teachers are approached by business people. They know you head the school. They know you have a say on very many things. They know.
Yes.
And even if it's a private school, headmasters, head teachers, headmistresses, they're given autonomy. They're things you decide. And business people will know this. Because if, say, for instance, you're talking about a boarding school, forget the uniform. What about the food that the children eat?
What do you want?
She heard food, she was like, huh? What are you saying?
What do you want,
So what about
Titi?
the food, City?
I'm saying that people are, I will give an example of the food. And I'm saying somebody has to supply it.
Okay.
Unless you're saying that this is a school that has its own farm. So whatever is eaten in the school comes from the school farm.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But how many schools have that?
Not many.
Not
Yes.
many.
Yes,
Many of them
exactly.
will buy from
Yes.
somebody.
Exactly. I've been to schools that have farms, yes. But they're not many. So
And
what
still
I'm
not sufficient to actually run an
No,
entire
it's not.
calendar
It's not.
year.
It's not. It's not. They have to buy. So I'm saying that everything that a school needs, just take your pick. There will be suppliers, there will be vendors. And they compete among themselves.
Yeah.
And they will come. Now, that is now business. But it also doesn't mean that even though there is business, that the parents cannot get whatever it is that the students need at a cost that is not only affordable but reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Yes.
Indeed.
What we're discussing here is greed. When people now just want to make a lot of money, and it doesn't really matter, they just make a lot of money. So they are following in the footsteps of well-established tradition in this country, where everything must cost several times what its actual cost is. Okay? If it's a road,
For
if
the
it's an
benefit of the
expressway,
initiator.
yes,
Yeah.
if it's a railway line, if it's a dam, standard fundamental requirement is you look for a vendor who is willing to charge 3 times what it costs. So now, remember this thing that I keep saying about making a decision and setting in motion certain things. If it is said that this happens at the very top of our leadership in the country, at the very, very top, an example has been set. You set
Why
it
are you
in motion.
surprised?
Yes. So what do you think is going to happen? But the thing that concerns me the most is the children whom we have in school and our children and what it is that we've introduced as the norm, because children observe. And believe me, as children, they observe and they copy it very, very quickly.
So they're learning this from us.
Yes, but they're seeing us doing it.
Let's ask this question to our audience then. 0719-012-600. Time for you to engage with us. What are your thoughts on this directive by the government issued yesterday, reiterated yesterday by the CS for Trade? It's called the MITI, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. The Honorable Moses Kuria says, school heads, this business of you telling parents to come and buy uniform from school or to go to specific shops where they can buy a uniform, stop it. Just tell them what is the school uniform. Let the child come to school in that uniform. Where they get it from, none of your business. How about even we go into those other extents of saying, how about you just standardize all uniform? Maybe even per county then if you want to change. Schools in X county, this is the uniform. Schools in the other county, this is the uniform. Or all schools countrywide.
Per county, it looks like a different, because it just looks like there's too much of a mess for you to handle one to the other.
Yeah.
And so that if you're going to change, if you're changing from, tier to tier, all we're saying is introduce trousers or introduce a jacket.
Yes.
But in terms of changing the whole thing, it's not going to happen. Perhaps it's time it became standardized, because the hell that people have to go through to find the uniform or to find the one supplier who has, access to everything is becoming more and more expensive. You're paying school fees of 40,000 shillings, but then you're buying uniforms, the whole set, worth half the amount, 21,000 shillings uniform, because it's only one person who can provide, or you buy from the school. Are you kidding?
Imagine.
The thing though, that is positive about this whole story, at least the uniform is there. You actually buy the uniform. It actually exists. So this small issue of the cost.
Small.
Yes.
As opposed to?
Okay.
You see, we are worried about extortion.
Yes.
Parents are being extorted.
Yes.
Parents are paying more than they should pay. That's really the heart of this discussion, is it not?
It is.
Yes. Because if the same structure existed and the fees were, say, 50% less,
Yeah.
would we still have the same problem?
No.
If it cost 50% less, would it?
Cheaper. It's cheaper.
Yes,
What do you mean?
50% cheaper than?
Yes, then
And
what it's
what is
costing
it
now,
currently is?
would we have a problem?
You wouldn't have so much of an issue with if it was cheaper. But the thing is also, you're seeing the gradual increment of this thing year to year. That's the issue. That the uniform itself has not changed. Maybe your kids have grown a tad, right? But then you're going to buy the same thing that you bought it for last year, and they've added some 3,900, 4,500 shillings on top of the same thing you are buying.
Yeah.
And then you're being told you can only get it from X place or come and buy it from the school. That's the problem.
And then they keep adding now various other. Remember that when you had a conversation about school fees last year? We're having a conversation about, this one is pull neck because it's cold area this year.
And t-shirt. Then the one with the collar, like the guys who play polo,
games.
you must have that one. There's games kit, then there's shorts, and then there's the sweat pants. And for crying out loud.
That actual school fees alone is over 30,000 shillings. Not school fees. School uniform alone is over 30,000 shillings.
And they
because
say
of the various
bring
things.
2 sets of each. For goodness sake.
You're saying 2.
Then they tell you the games kit
4.
socks. The games kit socks is different from the uniform socks.
Yes.
Oh.
And then if you're in a boarding school, what you're wearing, you have to have the home.
And there has to be weekend
whatever
wear.
Thing.
There's weekend uniform. Hey, let's hear from Robert in Nandi. Robert.
Hi.
Mambo namna gani?
Mimi iko mzuri na nyinyi.
Sisi iko
Sisi
sawa.
iko sawa.
Daddy kabisa.
Sisi iko kabisa
Haya,
vizuri.
nashukuru mumeongea vizuri. Let me just go straight to, I think there's some lack of people to think, because you need to offer solutions and understand the kind of economy that we do have right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then the entrepreneurs here are out to change things to be able to get an opportunity to introduce their own.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but solutions are primary school and senior. It's such a simple thing, Mkubwa. Just why don't you just change the one for lower secondary, give them long sleeve shirts or blouses. Na wale wa lower primary wabaki na ile uniform walikuwa nayo.
Wabaki na kinyasa.
Yeah. As you graduate, you wear trousers.
Not trousers. Just introduce long sleeve shirts or blouses.
Mm.
Yeah, for the one in where in
And a different color tie.
Yeah, that is so simple. Or even mark them, because all you need to do is wapatie tu badge imeandikwa this is lower primary, and that thing costs 100 bob.
Yeah.
And then patch it as a what? As that kamfuko on the chest. So when you are telling a parent who is not even able to raise school fees, I don't know, a uniform you over 10,000. I mean, where are we really heading, Mkubwa? Yeah, so that's some of these things. That is why we miss Magoha. God rest his soul in peace. Yeah. He would offer simple solutions for simple things. Like in hapa, we are complicating everything. Mara kidogo, we need the old uniform for the police. Mara kidogo, we need a new branding for primary schools, so that somebody can just give out a contract for what? Renaming of schools. Why do we want to complicate life? And these are just simple things.
Complicate life at an expense.
Yeah, and you're complicating life at an expense on poor people. Expensing on poor people. Afadhali watu are rich. It's so hurting that you are telling somebody hawezi akarei school fees, kwamba for your child to join school, it is courtesy of a school uniform. Sisi wengine tulipitia mguu bwana bila shoes na tukasoma. Why would you want to complicate life for people who are already poor? Yeah, let's just look for simple. Hata kanisani, everybody puts on white, lakini unaweza jua ile jeshi la wokovu anawekanga S hapa, and you just know this one is jeshi la wokovu. Why would you want to ndugu yangu? Anyway, wacha tusini, serikali ni hao, wacha watufanye chenye wanataka kufanya. Asanteni.
Thank you very much. 0719-012-600. Tony says, tuambiwe uniform, tununue material, tuende Kenyatta Market, tushoneshe.
What is the color? How is it supposed to be? You want trouser? You want shirt? You want tie? It's okay. How many do you want?
Karaja.
Eric.
How are you?
I'm very fine, Eric. City Muga, Duoko.
Yes, sir.
Yes, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Now, I'm very fine, Duoko. I normally send you some message each and every time.
Is that so?
Maybe when I have time, if you see somebody called Samuel Karaja, I'm the one Karaja of Naivasha.
Ah, you're the one.
When you're Samuel, eh?
Yeah, video Samuel Karaja, you know, my face keep on smiling.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Hiya.
Yes.
Karaja.
What
do you think about this school uniform story?
I think this is cartels. The government now is talking about cartels. I think what they are saying is that uniforms should be bought in schools. I think this is where these people they are getting money. You know, if you go outside, for instance, you can buy a trouser for 750. But when they fix you in school, you buy it at 1,000 plus. The same case happened to the pullover. The same case happened to this what we call the sports kit or anything else. So to me, I think what they should do, they should do whatever our trade minister said yesterday. They should keep off from this biashara ya kuuza nini, these uniforms. I think this is where they get money. The school teacher, the school's principals, and even the school itself, they collude with the businessmen. And then they say, let us bring this so that we can have this. Each and every time it is like hospitals. If you go to hospital, you'll be told, go to certain chemistry and buy this medicine. This is where you can get a good medicine. You know, you call out Aisharini, my friend. Yeah, this is what they are. This is how they get their money.
So you support Moses Kuria, the new directive by Moses Kuria?
Yes, I fully support the direction by the Moses Kuria because this is where wananchi ataponea, my friend. Yeah.
Safi. Thank you very much, Karanja.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Have a good day. Lynette in Nairobi.
Yes, morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Yeah.
I think probably this directive by the CS can be taken a bit further because there are people who are making uniform at, let me say, at a friendlier price, and these would be who the government had termed as hustlers, who they want to support. And I think it's an open secret that they're doing this, especially in Uhuru Market, which is off Jogoo Road. So how can the government support such people better? Because they're just moving it from the schools who are making money to the private enterprises who are very happy that now the uniforms is going back to them. So the thinking, I think, can be expanded to support a larger group.
How would this support a larger group while maintaining what the school heads would argue is the need to have standard uniform?
Uniformity, pun intended. I think, really, all it has to be is have a standard source for fabrics and all, and a guide on your color scheme and all. Of course, we don't want the children looking like, some looking professional, others looking like clowns. So it can be thought through, really. We won't thrash out this idea on phone, but it can be thought through better. Because all it will end up being is Lynette and Eric having businesses where we'll then charge 500 shillings less on a blazer, but 100 shillings more on pants. And again, we have not benefited the end user, which is the parent, who is really suffering for this.
That's true.
And then empower those guys those tailors who are really, all they have is their machine and they need to eke out a living.
So and they're really good, seems
better and support them. So the whole supply chain can be worked through by the ministries.
Asante. Thank you, Lynette.
Karibu.
Good day. Solomon in Mombasa.
Eric, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. How you been?
I've been good.
Good to hear from you.
I want to support partly and disagree partly.
Okay.
On the most curious statement. One, some uniform you cannot get, or the materials is very hard to find.
What?
So let me finish.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, let the man speak.
Let me finish.
So
sometimes when the school offers this uniform, it's for you to weigh. Is it cheaper outside? Because even the school will give you a convenient. Sometimes they give even the market rate outside there. Almost the same. If we want to support the hustler down there, what makes you think this uniform are not being handled by the person downside there? I'll give you an example. Where my kids go to school, the person who does the uniform is a guy I know. He's a hustler, typically a hustler, completely. And they are tailors who used to work for EPZ and then they started their own shops. So they're given and they do it for the school. Because you don't have these large companies that does uniform. Maybe for the sweaters, yes. But for the trousers, you find small, but they collect them together.
Okay.
On partly, yes, Moses Kuria was right, but sometimes wrong. Then I wonder my question. These are CS for trade. What is it doing with education matters? The other day he talked about agriculture. He should stick to his lane.
He's protecting investment and trade.
Of textiles.
You see, when it comes to textile business, if it's about textile business you want to protect, why did they remove the uniform for police from NYS to importing them?
Yeah, it's being imported.
Yes, currently they're being imported. Check the dailies, yeah. They removed from the NYS and now they're importing. And they say, though, there's a cartel that is doing what. You see, when these people talk about cartels, yeah? For example, let me say on the president's side, this person has been in government since 1997, since I was a toddler, yeah? He knows how government works. So he says cartel, they know them by name. So why do they fail to mention them? The reason why they don't mention them is because they eat with them. So even when you hear things are being cancelled, they want to cancel what the previous regime had put in place, then they put their own people. Because even if the uniform issue is, there are people who won't take up that business. Because, for example, look at Magoha. The population of Magoha is how many kids?
About 1,400.
Around 2,000. The whole school is around almost 2,000.
Yes.
So if you supply sweaters, you need an organization that's able to deliver those kind of sweaters. Yes.
Thank you, Solomon. Good day. Anthony in Kisumu.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
And a happy new year.
Happy New Year to you.
Sir.
I fully support what the CS for Trade is doing. One, schools have become centers of money minting from parents. We don't dispute, I'm a parent, we don't dispute paying tuition, paying caution, paying all those type of money. Ikidogo wa chisi so pia tuze. But the point is, after that directive, what next? In law, they usually say that an offense in law, in the penal code, has to have a penalty. If you steal, you are jailed for 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, if a principal of school A in Kisumu County or Nairobi decides to sell the uniform despite that directive, what will happen? So it's still hot here. Nothing will happen. It's just a directive. We've received several directives. No development fee, parents still pay. No tuition fee, parents still pay. And the directive is there. Even from the toughest Magoha, may his soul rest in peace. Now, for Moses Kuria to say that, one is protecting, and the uniform being sold at the school, they also come from these traders. So it's just maybe taking from Paul to pay Peter. But it could be fun, it could be more fun if a penalty was given, if a principal is found doing this, and that he can't do because he can't control education. That's a different ministry. So him together with the CS for education, they come up and say, to protect traders, uniform must be bought from outside. And then the CS of education say, as a policy, if you are found violating a government directive, we'll take you to Nyambaria Secondary School, where the school will perform and parents will donate. On a light note, you guys have a good day.
You too, Anthony.
Cheers, Anthony.
Enoch in Kiambu.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
I fully support this treatment by CS. For one, it eliminates eating by a few. Because most of these schools, yes, it eliminates the eating by a few. You know, if every student goes out and buys the uniform, you'll buy it from any shop, so long as it matches the color or where the school where you are. But if it is controlled by a few in a school, is only one person, like the school where I was, it was only one person who was controlling. So I think either the principal or some teachers, you can say, they collude with the supplier. Actually, it's a cartel within the schools. And I've taken my son to school severally, and you go there and you are told this tie looks like this. They find a way of even exploiting the parents on expense of...
So they say that you've brought the wrong tie.
Yeah, the wrong tie, simply because
too
they want
wide,
to...
Too thin.
Too black.
Yes, you buy. It's sort of collaboration between the supplier and the school. So I think it's a good thing. That's how I see it.
If you open it up, Enoch,
yes.
How do you ensure uniformity?
I think you just need to say if it is white, it's white.
Which
if
white?
it is
Off-white, cream white, white, lightning white. You see the problem?
you give an example. Either you send. There are things which you do, like for some people who deal in colors. Some deal with colors, and you are told. For instance, you are planning an event. You are told this is the color. We plan and you get it right.
Hey, oh my
yes.
goodness. The two gentlemen in this room find specimens of what would counter that thing that you have just said.
Dude, this is what I do when I'm not in class. And I get, yes, I actually...
You deal in color.
I plan for events.
Yes. When you tell people the dress code is a certain color.
Orange even.
Is
even
orange. Do they come in the same orange?
You just need to send a sample. Like now, when you are admitting students, you need to send. It can actually have a mark in the letter. This is the orange we need.
Can I ask you the question? Even if you send the example, have you ever encountered a situation where somebody comes with their version of the orange which you sent?
Did you receive the sample? They say yes.
Yes.
But see, this is it.
I agree with you. Muga, there are people who do not know colors. That one I agree with you.
It's not even that. Sometimes it's because of the availability. So yes, you sent me a certain, sample for the color, and you told me the event will be this color. When I go to my fundi does not have that material in that specific color, but they have it in this other color, and I don't have time. All the other fundis that I've gone to, from this shop to the next shop to the next shop, they all have different shades of that color. So what do I do? I pick on a shade.
But those who have gone to the rural schools, Eric, there were no supplies of these uniforms, and we used to have the colors right. And you'll go to the shop and you buy, not necessarily from that shop. And also, it gives the parent the freedom to negotiate. This one, you have no negotiation. It is 1,000, is 1,000. Whether you either pick or you go home with your son. Yeah.
Enoch, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to hear you this year. Have a good one.
But
you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This conversation is incomplete if we don't look at something else that is also determined and is necessary and a must with school learning. Books.
Same thing.
Same thing with books.
Yes.
Then people
and why
start
aren't
asking
we
questions.
raising an issue with books? Because that one now...
See, the issue is being raised. It's just that maybe we're not talking about it now.
But remember, so books, okay, there are several levels of book on when it comes
on
to
issues
books.
regarding books, yes.
Because publishers are first of all passed by the KICD. So the KICD will say these are the publishers and these are the books that we're going to use. Now, the issue is the bookshop to buy the specific book from.
Bookshop
or is it
a
a
retailer.
publisher?
They're just an outlet. Them, I don't even have a problem with them. If you take a sample of the books that we have, even with these new systems, and you look at the books with reference to the content, and you ask yourself, okay, we have a new system. What has really changed in the content?
Let me give you an example. They'll tell you that in Kiswahili you should bring kielekezi cha KCPE. They will tell you to bring Kiswahili made familiar. They will tell you to bring sarufi za msingi. They will also tell you to bring kichecheo cha insha. That is just Kiswahili.
All those books have been passed by the KICD.
Exactly.
Now that's
so
the
now
thing.
the thing for parents is it necessary for you to have all of them?
KICD has said yes.
KICD say you should bring them all. Now that's the question.
Okay, now, surely, do you really need them all?
Do you need them all?
Is it possible to have
All those that I've mentioned is
Kielekezo is not the other one. What was that? The first one was what?
It's different from your course text.
Kielekezo was what?
Kielekezi cha KCPE.
Yeah, that is examples of KCPE papers, past
Mind
papers.
you,
The
this
next
is
one,
different from the course text.
Next.
Kiswahili made familiar.
See, that is different.
No, Eric. Why is it that each of these books, why can they not represent a chapter in one book? All these things, kielezo, usieleze, wedembele, why can they not be representations of chapters in a book? Why
So you
must they
want-
be an entire book? No.
Because City, you're the one who came up with the idea. Let's say you're a publisher and you came up with the idea of kielekezo cha KCPE, all right? You applied to KICD. When the KICD officers are actually looking at these books, they don't even know who the publisher is. They're just looking at the material. And they say, this material makes sense. And then they look at different materials.
So this one also makes sense.
This one makes sense. Now, let's license these three.
So
Just
when
want
they're
to
licensing
Sama, they
the
should
three,
then they should
when
now
they're-
call the three publishers and
no,
tell
wait,
them,
no.
now you
When
make
they're
your
licensing-
chapter, you make your chapter,
when
you
they're
make your chapter,
licensing
you
the
publish.
three, are they saying get all three? They're not saying get all three.
What are
They're
they saying?
licensing them. They're not saying that you must get them. The problem is
the school is
will
thinking.
tell you get 4. Meanwhile, there's a course text.
You know, Eric, in government schools, our time is up. But this is how in government schools, the books are supplied. We don't do astrophysics in the school, and yet you get a supply for astrophysics books.
It's not funny. Actually, it's not funny. It's a serious thing.
Okay, people, have a good day. We'll be back tomorrow.
Spice.